Jake had always been fascinated by the stars, ever since he was a kid. He would sneak out of his bedroom window just to lay on the roof and stare at the night sky. Now, at 28, he was living his dream as a graduate student studying astronomy. At a university in New Mexico. The desert campus was perfect for someone like Jake. Far from the bright city lights, the stars here seemed to shine brighter than anywhere else. He spent most of his nights at the observatory, a small building on a hill overlooking the vast desert landscape. It was a Tuesday evening in October when everything changed. Jake was alone in the observatory, as usual, working on his research project about distant galaxies. The building was quiet except for the soft humming of the telescope equipment. He had been studying the same patch of sky for hours, taking notes and measurements. Around midnight, Jake decided to take a break. He stepped outside to get some fresh air and stretch his legs. The desert night was cool and peaceful. He looked up at the familiar constellations, feeling grateful for his life's work. That's when he saw them. 3 bright lights appeared in the eastern sky, moving in a way that made no sense. At first, Jake thought they might be airplanes, but airplanes don't move like that. These lights were dancing. They would stop suddenly, then zip sideways, then move in perfect triangles. Jake rushed back inside and grabbed his binoculars. Through the lenses, the lights looked even stranger. They seemed to pulse with different colors, blue, then white, then a soft golden glow. His hands were shaking as he tried to focus the binoculars. He quickly turned his telescope toward the lights, but something weird happened. The moment he pointed the telescope at them, all his equipment started acting up. The computer screens flickered. The telescope motor made grinding sounds. Even his phone started buzzing with error messages. What the heck is going on? Jake muttered to himself. The lights suddenly stopped moving and hovered in one spot. Then, as quickly as they had appeared, they vanished. The desert sky was normal again, and his equipment stopped malfunctioning. Jake stood there for a moment, trying to process what he had just witnessed. He had seen plenty of satellites, weather balloons, and even military aircraft during his nights at the observatory. This was different. This was something he couldn't explain. He was about to head back inside when he heard footsteps on the gravel path leading to the observatory. Jake froze. Nobody ever came up here at night. The nearest building was half a mile away. "Hello," he called out. A woman's voice answered from the darkness. "I'm sorry to disturb you. I saw your light and thought someone might be here." Jake squinted into the darkness and saw a figure approaching. As she got closer, he could make out a tall woman with long dark hair, wearing what looked like a simple white dress. She appeared to be around his age, maybe a bit younger. "Are you okay?" Jake asked. "It's pretty late to be walking around out here." The woman smiled, and even in the dim light from the observatory, Jake could see there was something unusual about her. Her eyes seemed to sparkle in a way that was almost hypnotic. "I'm fine," she said. "I was just enjoying the night sky." "You must be an astronomer." "Graduate student," Jake replied. "I study stars and galaxies." "I'm Jake. By the way, you can call me Luna," she said. "I have a deep interest in astronomy too, though perhaps from a different perspective than yours." There was something about the way she spoke that caught Jake's attention. Her voice was melodic, almost musical, but her choice of words seemed oddly formal. "Different perspective?" Jake asked. Luna looked up at the stars. "You study the universe from here." "Looking outward, I study it from, well, let's say IF. A broader view." Jake wasn't sure what she meant, but he found himself drawn to this mysterious woman. "Would you like to see the telescope? I was just looking at some interesting formations." "I would love that," Luna said. As they walked toward the observatory, Jake noticed something strange. Luna seemed to know exactly where she was going. Even though she claimed to have just stumbled upon the place, she also walked with unusual grace, almost as if she was floating. Inside the observatory, Jake started explaining his equipment, but Luna surprised him by asking questions that showed she already knew quite a bit about astronomy. In fact, she knew things that Jake was pretty sure weren't in any textbook. "The star system you were observing earlier," Luna said, pointing to his notes, the one you've cataloged as unknown. There are actually 7 planets in that system, not 4. Jake looked at his data. According to his measurements, there were only 4 planets. How could you possibly know that? Our most advanced telescopes can barely detect what I found. Luna smiled mysteriously. Sometimes the best observations come from being closer to the subject. Closer? That system is thousands of light years away. Distance is relative, Luna said softly. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. There was something about this woman that was both fascinating and unsettling. She seemed to know things that were impossible to know. Luna, he said carefully, where exactly are you from? She looked at him with those sparkling eyes. That's a complicated question, Jake. Let's just say I'm not from around here. Not from around here. Like, not from New Mexico. Luna laughed, and the sound was like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Not from New Mexico. Not from anywhere on this planet, actually. Jake stared at her. A normal person would have laughed at such a claim. But after seeing those strange lights, after watching his equipment malfunction, after meeting this mysterious woman who seemed to know impossible things about distant stars, Jake found himself actually considering her words. You're telling me you're from another planet? He asked. I'm telling you that your species has a very limited understanding of connection and consciousness. Luna replied. You experience relationships, love, intimacy, all of it, in such a basic way. It's almost primitive. Jake's heart was racing. What do you mean? Luna moved closer to him. What if I told you that advanced beings don't just share physical space? What if they could share thoughts, emotions, even consciousness itself? What if love wasn't just about bodies touching, but about minds truly becoming one? Jake felt dizzy. That's impossible, is it? Luna asked. Your scientists talk about quantum entanglement, particles that are connected across vast distances, affecting each other instantly. What if consciousness works the same way? Jake had no answer. Everything he thought he knew about the world was suddenly being challenged. Luna reached out and gently touched his hand. The moment their skin made contact, Jake felt something extraordinary. It was like a warm wave of understanding flowed through him. For just a second, he felt like he could sense Luna's thoughts, her emotions, her very essence. What was that? He whispered. A small taste, Luna said, of how advanced beings truly connect with each other. Jake pulled his hand back, but he immediately missed the feeling. It was like nothing he had ever experienced before. Luna smiled knowingly. Your species experiences connection so primitively. Would you like to understand how advanced beings truly unite? Jake couldn't sleep that night. He kept thinking about Luna and that strange moment when she touched his hand. It felt like electricity, but not the painful kind. It was warm, comforting, and somehow familiar, like coming home after a long journey. The next evening, he found himself back at the observatory earlier than usual, hoping she would return. He tried to focus on his research, but his mind kept wandering. Every sound outside made him look up, expecting to see her walking up the path around 10 o'clock. She appeared again. This time, Jake was ready for her. I was hoping you'd come back, he said as she approached the observatory. Luna smiled. I could sense you were thinking about me. That's already progress. What do you mean? You could sense it. Sit down, Jake. I think it's time I explained some things to you. They sat on the wooden bench outside the observatory. The desert night was clear, and the stars seemed brighter than ever. Luna looked up at the sky, and Jake noticed her eyes seemed to reflect the starlight in an unusual way. My people have been watching Earth for a very long time, she began. We've studied your species, your development, your ways of connecting with each other. We find it interesting. Jake felt his heart pounding. Your people, we come from a place far beyond what your telescopes can see. Our civilization is much older than yours. We've learned to do things that your science considers impossible. Like what? Luna turned to face him. Like sharing consciousness, like experiencing true unity between minds, like loving in ways that transcend physical limitations. Jake swallowed hard. You're really not from Earth, are you? No, I'm not. But I've been here for several months now. studying how humans experience connection and relationships. It's fascinating, but also quite limited. Limited how? Luna stood up and walked a few steps away, then turned back to him. When humans say they love someone, they usually mean they enjoy being with that person. They like how that person makes them feel. They're attracted to them physically, but they remain separate beings, locked in their own minds. Jake nodded slowly. That sounds about right. But what if it didn't have to be that way? Luna asked. What if the beings could actually merge their consciousness? What if they could share not just words, but thoughts, not just touch, but actual feelings and emotions? That sounds like science fiction. Luna laughed softly. You're science fiction. Writers sometimes understand more than your scientists. They imagine possibilities that your researchers dismiss too quickly. She came back and sat beside him, closer this time. Jake, would you like me to show you what I mean? Show me how? Close your eyes and try to quiet your mind. Think of it like meditation, but deeper. Jake hesitated. Is this safe? Completely safe. I'll only share what you're ready to receive. Jake closed his eyes and tried to relax. At first, all he could hear was his own heartbeat and the distant sound of wind across the desert. Then Luna placed her hand on his forehead, and everything changed. Suddenly, Jake could feel Luna's emotions as if they were his own. He felt her curiosity about human nature, her gentle compassion, and something else, a deep loneliness that surprised him. It was like reading a book, but instead of words, he was experiencing pure feeling. Can you feel that? Luna's voice seemed to come from inside his head rather than his ears. Yes? Jake whispered. It's incredible. This is how my people communicate. We don't just speak with words. We share our actual thoughts and feelings. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is misunderstood. Jake felt tears forming in his eyes. The experience was overwhelming but beautiful. He had never felt so understood, so connected to another being. Now try to share something with me, Luna said gently. Jake concentrated and tried to project his own feelings. He thought about his love for the stars, his childhood dreams of exploring space, his loneliness working alone in the observatory night after night. To his amazement, he could feel Luna receiving these emotions, understanding them completely. Beautiful, Luna said, and Jake could feel her appreciation flowing through their connection. You have such a pure love for the universe. It's touching. They sat there for several minutes, sharing thoughts and feelings without words. Jake experienced Luna's memories of her home world, a place of incredible beauty where beings lived in harmony, connected through consciousness. He felt her people's advanced understanding of love and relationships. But then Luna gently broke the connection, and Jake felt a sudden emptiness, like a part of him had been torn away. Why did you stop? He asked, opening his eyes. Because you're not ready for more yet. Your human mind needs time to process what you've experienced. Jake felt disappointed, almost desperate, but I want to feel that again. It was the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. Luna looked at him with concern. That's what I was afraid of, Jake. What you just experienced is how my people naturally connect with each other. For us, it's normal. But for humans, it can be overwhelming. I don't care if it's overwhelming. I want to learn more. Many humans have had similar reactions when they first experienced true consciousness sharing. It's so much more intense than regular human connection that everything else seems shallow by comparison. Jake realized she was right already. The idea of talking to his friends or family seemed boring compared to what he had just experienced. With Luna, regular conversation felt like trying to communicate through a thick wall. Is it dangerous? He asked. Not dangerous, but it can be addictive. Some humans who learn these techniques find it difficult to return to normal relationships. They become dependent on the deeper connection. Have you taught this to other humans? Luna was quiet for a moment. Yes, I've been studying human consciousness for months. You're not the first person I've worked with. What happened to the others? Some adapted well. They learned to balance both types of connection. Others, she paused. Others became so attached to the enhanced experience that they couldn't function normally in human society anymore. Jake felt a chill, but it didn't diminish his desire to learn more. I want to understand everything. I want to know how to do what you do. Are you sure? Once you start down this path, there's no going back. You'll never be satisfied with ordinary human relationships again. I'm sure, Jake said without hesitation. Luna studied his face carefully. Very well, but we'll take it slowly. Your mind needs time to adjust to each level of connection. How many levels are there? More than you can imagine. What you experienced tonight was just the beginning. The deepest forms of consciousness sharing that my people practice would completely overwhelm a human mind. Jake felt both excited and nervous. When can we start? Tomorrow night. But Jake, you must promise me something. What? You must try to maintain your regular life during this process. Don't neglect your studies, your friends, your family. The temptation will be strong to abandon everything else, but you must resist it. I promise, Jake said, though he wasn't sure he could keep that promise. Luna stood up to leave. Tomorrow, I'll teach you the first meditation technique. It will help you prepare your mind for deeper connections. As she walked away into the darkness, Jake called out, Luna, why are you doing this? Why are you teaching me? She paused and turned back. Because I believe humans have more potential than they realize, and because she hesitated. Because I've grown fond of your species, of you in particular. Then she disappeared into the night, leaving Jake alone with his racing thoughts and an overwhelming desire to experience that incredible connection again. Over the next few weeks, Jake's entire world changed. Every night, he would meet Luna at the observatory, and she would teach him new techniques for expanding his consciousness. What started as simple meditation exercises quickly became something much more intense. The first week, Luna taught him breathing techniques that helped quiet his mind. She showed him how to focus his thoughts and open his awareness to subtle energies around him. Jake found himself looking forward to these sessions more than anything else in his life. You're learning quickly, Luna told him one evening as they sat under the stars. Most humans take months to reach this level of mental clarity. Jake felt proud of her praise. It feels natural somehow, like I was meant to do this. Perhaps you were, Luna said. Some humans are more naturally gifted at consciousness expansion than others. As the days passed, Luna began teaching Jake more advanced techniques. She showed him how to project his thoughts more clearly, how to receive mental impressions from others, and how to sense the emotional states of people around him. The changes in Jake's daily life were immediate and dramatic. During his classes at the university, he found himself picking up on his professor's thoughts before they were spoken. He could sense when his classmates were confused, bored, or excited, even when they tried to hide it. At first, this new awareness was fascinating. Jake felt like he had developed a superpower, but it also made regular conversations feel incredibly shallow. When his roommate Alex wanted to chat about sports or movies, Jake found himself getting impatient. How could anyone be satisfied with such surface-level communication when there were so much deeper ways to connect? You seem distracted lately, Alex said one evening as they ate dinner together. Everything okay? Jake looked at his roommate and could immediately sense Alex's genuine concern. But he also felt frustrated that Alex couldn't understand what he was experiencing. I'm fine, Jake said. Just been thinking about some new research I'm working on. But Jake wasn't fine. He was becoming obsessed with his nightly sessions with Luna. During the day, he felt like he was sleepwalking through life, just waiting for evening to come so he could experience real connection again. His academic work began to suffer. He would sit in the library, staring at his textbooks, but his mind would wander to Luna and the incredible things she was teaching him. The equations and theories that once fascinated him now seemed trivial compared to the mysteries of consciousness he was exploring. Your last 3 assignments have been late, his advisor Professor Chen told him during a meeting. This isn't like you, Jake. You're one of my best students. Jake tried to explain that he was working on something important. But how could he tell Professor Chen that he was learning telepathy from an alien? It sounded crazy even to him. I just need a little more time to get back on track, Jake said. But the truth was, he didn't want to get back on track. He wanted to spend all his time with Luna. learning more about consciousness and connection. Everything else felt like a waste of time. During his third week of training, Luna introduced him to something she called deep sharing. This was more intense than anything they had done before. She guided Jake into a meditative state where their consciousness seemed to merge almost completely. For 2 hours, Jake experienced what it felt like to be Luna. He saw through her eyes, felt her emotions, and even accessed some of her memories. He experienced her perspective on Earth and humanity, her loneliness being so far from her own people, and her growing affection for him. When the session ended, Jake felt like he had been hit by a truck. The return to his own limited consciousness was jarring and painful. He felt isolated and alone in a way he had never experienced before. That was incredible, he told Luna, but his voice was shaky. But why do I feel so empty now? Luna looked concerned. The deeper you go, the harder it becomes to exist in normal consciousness. This is why I warn you about the addictive nature of these experiences. I want to do it again. Jake said immediately, "Not tonight. Your mind needs rest, please." Luna, "I can't stand feeling so disconnected." Jake, "This is exactly what I was worried about. You're becoming dependent on these experiences." But Jake couldn't help himself. The deep sharing had been the most fulfilling experience of his life. Compared to that level of connection, everything else felt meaningless. His friendships, his studies, his family, they all seemed like shadows of real experience. Over the following days, Jake's behavior became increasingly erratic. He stopped attending classes altogether. He avoided his friends and barely spoke to his roommate. He spent his days in his room, meditating and trying to recreate the feelings he experienced with Luna. When his parents called, he could barely hold a normal conversation. Their voices seemed to come from a great distance, and their concerns about his life felt trivial. "Are you eating enough?" his mother asked during one call. "You sound tired." "I'm fine, Mom," Jake said, but he could hear the emptiness in his own voice. "Maybe you should come home for a visit. You could use a break from all that studying." The idea of going home and pretending to be interested in normal family activities felt impossible. How could he sit at the dinner table and discuss every day things when he had experienced the wonder of merged consciousness? When Luna arrived at the observatory that evening, Jake was waiting for her with desperate energy. "I need to do deep sharing again," he said before she could even greet him. "Jake, we agreed to take things slowly. I can't function without it. Everything else feels fake and meaningless." Luna sat down beside him, and Jake could sense her worry through their connection. "This is what I was afraid of. You're losing your ability to appreciate normal human experiences." "Maybe that's not such a bad thing," Jake said. "Maybe normal human experiences are just inferior." "Jake, listen to yourself. You're talking like human connection is worthless compared to what we do together." "It is worthless." Luna was quiet for a long moment. "I've seen this happen before. Other humans I've worked with have had similar reactions. What happened to them? Some learned to balance both types of connection. Others became so addicted to consciousness sharing that they couldn't maintain relationships with their own species." Jake felt a chill of fear, but it was quickly overwhelmed by his craving for another deep sharing session. "I don't care about other relationships. I just want to connect with you. But Jake, I won't be here forever. My people will eventually call me back to our world." The thought of losing Luna sent Jake into a panic. "When? I don't know, but it will happen. Then teach me everything now. Show me the deepest levels of connection before you have to leave." Luna shook her head. "That would be dangerous. Your mind isn't ready for the advanced techniques." "I don't care about the danger. I need more." Jake could see the conflict in Luna's eyes. She cared about him, but she was also worried about what her teaching was doing to him. "One more session," she said finally. "But after that, we need to slow down and work on helping you integrate these experiences with your normal life." Jake agreed, but he was already planning to convince her to continue their intensive training. He couldn't imagine going back to the shallow connections of human relationships. The very thought made him feel sick. As Luna began guiding him into another deep sharing session, Jake felt the familiar excitement and relief. This was real life. This was true connection. Everything else was just killing time until he could experience this again. But deep down, a small part of him was beginning to realize that Luna was right. He was losing himself in these experiences, and he wasn't sure he could find his way back to being human. Jake's world came crashing down on a Thursday morning in November. He had been living in his obsession with Luna and their consciousness sharing sessions for over a month, and the consequences were finally catching up with him. It started with a phone call from Professor Chen. "Jake, I need to see you in my office immediately," his advisor said. Jake could hear the disappointment in his voice. When Jake arrived at the professor's office, he found not only Professor Chen, but also the department head, Dr. Williams, waiting for him. "Sit down, Jake," Professor Chen said gently. "We need to talk." Jake slumped into the chair across from them. He had been dreading this conversation. "You've missed 15 classes this semester," Dr. Williams began. "Your research project is weeks behind schedule. Your fellow students are concerned about you. Your teaching assistantship has been affected because you haven't been showing up." Jake tried to focus on what they were saying, but his mind kept drifting to Luna and their planned session for that evening. He found it difficult to care about academic responsibilities when he had experienced the incredible depths of consciousness sharing. "Jake, are you listening to me?" Professor Chen asked. "Yes, I'm listening," Jake said. But his voice sounded distant even to himself. "We're placing you on academic probation," Dr. Williams continued. "If your performance doesn't improve significantly in the next 2 weeks, we'll have to suspend you from the program." The words hit Jake like a physical blow. His astronomy program had been his life's dream, but now it felt like a distant memory from someone else's life. "I understand," Jake said quietly. "Jake, what's going on with you?" Professor Chen asked with genuine concern. "You were one of our most promising students. Now you seem like a completely different person." Jake wanted to explain, but how could he tell them about Luna and the incredible world of consciousness expansion he had discovered? They would think he was having a mental breakdown. "I've just been going through some personal issues," Jake said. "Have you considered counseling?" Dr. Williams asked. "The university has excellent mental health resources." "I'll think about it," Jake said, though he had no intention of seeing a counselor. When Jake left the meeting, he felt numb. He walked across campus in a daze, barely noticing the other students around him. The only thing that mattered was getting through the day so he could see Luna again. But when he got back to his dorm room, he found his roommate Alex waiting for him with their resident advisor, Kevin. "We need to talk," Alex said, his face serious. "What's going on?" Jake asked. "That's what we want to know," Kevin said. "Alex called me because he's worried about you. He says you've been acting strange for weeks." Jake looked at Alex, who had been his roommate for 2 years. They had been good friends, but lately, Jake had barely spoken to him. "You don't eat meals with me anymore," Alex said. "You don't hang out with our friends. You disappear every night and come back looking exhausted. You talk to yourself when you think I'm not listening." "I don't talk to myself," Jake protested. "Yes, you do. Sometimes it sounds like you're having conversations with someone who isn't there." Jake realized he had been practicing his telepathic communications with Luna even when she wasn't around, trying to maintain their connection throughout the day. "I'm fine," Jake said. "I've just been busy with research." "What research?" Kevin asked. "Your professors say you haven't been to class in weeks." Jake felt trapped. He couldn't explain the truth, but he also couldn't keep lying to people who cared about him. "Look, I know you guys mean well, but I don't need help, Jake. You've lost weight. You have dark circles under your eyes. You seem like you're not really here when we try to talk to you," Alex said. "That's not fine." That evening, Jake waited for Luna at the observatory, desperate to share his troubles with her. When she arrived, he immediately poured out everything that had happened. "They want to kick me out of school," he said. "My friends think I'm losing my mind, but I don't care about any of that. I just want to keep learning from you." Luna listened quietly, and Jake could sense her deep concern through their connection. "Jake, this is exactly what I was afraid would happen," she said. "You're losing your ability to function in human society. Maybe human society isn't worth functioning in. Jake replied, "Don't say that. You're talking about your whole life, your dreams, your relationships with people who care about you. Those things don't matter anymore. You've shown me something so much better." Luna was quiet for a long moment. "Jake, I need to tell you something. I've been in contact with others of my kind who have studied humans before. What did they say? They've observed this pattern many times. When humans are exposed to advanced consciousness techniques, some become addicted to the experience. They lose interest in their own species and become unable to maintain normal relationships." Jake felt a chill of fear. What happens to them? Some recover and learn to balance both types of connection. Others become completely isolated from human society. A few have asked to be taken to our world. But that's not possible. Humans can't survive on our planet. What about the ones who become isolated? Luna's expression was sad. They live lonely lives, unable to connect with their own kind, but also unable to return to the advanced consciousness states they become trapped between two worlds. Jake felt panic rising in his chest. "That won't happen to me. I can learn to balance both." "Can you?" Luna asked gently. "When was the last time you had a meaningful conversation with another human?" Jake tried to think, but he couldn't. Remember, every human interaction over the past month had felt shallow and frustrating. "I've been teaching you these techniques because I believed humans could evolve beyond their current limitations," Luna continued. "But I'm starting to think I was wrong. Perhaps your species isn't ready for this kind of consciousness expansion." "I'm ready," Jake insisted. "I just need more time to adjust." "Jake, you're not adjusting. You're withdrawing from everything that makes you human. Maybe being human isn't enough anymore." Luna stood up abruptly. "I need to think about this. I may have made a terrible mistake." "What do you mean?" "I mean I might need to stop our sessions. For your own good." Jake felt like the ground was falling out from under him. "No, you can't stop. I need this. I need you." "Jake, listen to yourself. You're talking like an addict." "I'm not an addict. I'm just someone who has experienced something beautiful and doesn't want to give it up." "That's exactly what an addict would say." Luna walked away from him, and Jake could feel her emotional turmoil through their connection. She was torn between her desire to help him evolve and her realization that she might be destroying him instead. "Luna, wait," Jake called after her. She turned back, and Jake could see tears in her eyes. "I care about you, Jake, more than I should. But I'm watching you lose yourself, and I don't know how to help you. Help me by continuing our sessions. Help me by teaching me everything you know." What if that's exactly the wrong thing to do? Jake felt desperate. The thought of losing access to consciousness sharing felt like dying. "Please don't abandon me." "I'm not abandoning you. I'm trying to save you from becoming something you'll regret." Luna disappeared into the night, leaving Jake alone with his desperation and the terrible realization that she might be right. He was losing himself, but he didn't know how to stop. The consciousness sharing had become more real to him than his own life. As he sat alone in the observatory, Jake realized he was facing a choice he wasn't sure he could make. Continue down the path of consciousness expansion and risk losing his humanity entirely, or try to find his way back to a normal human life that now felt impossibly shallow and meaningless. Either way, he was afraid he had already lost too much to ever be whole again. Jake didn't see Luna for 3 days after their last conversation. Those 3 days were the longest of his life. He felt like he was going through withdrawal from a powerful drug. His body ached. His mind felt cloudy, and he couldn't concentrate on anything. He spent hours sitting in his dorm room, staring at the walls, trying to recreate the feeling of consciousness sharing on his own. But without Luna's guidance, he could only achieve pale shadows of what they had experienced together. On the 3rd night, he was sitting alone at the observatory when Luna finally appeared. But she wasn't alone. "Jake," she said softly, "I'd like you to meet someone." Behind her walked a man who appeared to be in his 50s, with graying hair and kind eyes. He moved with the same unusual grace that Jake had noticed in Luna. "This is Orion," Luna said. "He's one of my people, and he's been studying human consciousness for much longer than I have." Orion approached Jake and extended his hand. When Jake shook it, he felt a gentle telepathic connection, much softer than what he experienced with Luna. "I've heard about your situation," Orion said, his voice warm but serious. "I've worked with humans who have gone through similar experiences." "Luna wants to stop our sessions," Jake said, unable to hide his desperation. "I know. And I think she's right to be concerned." Jake felt his heart sink. "So you're here to tell me I can't continue learning?" "I'm here to offer you a choice," Orion said. "But first, I want to show you something." Orion gestured toward the dessert. "There's someone I'd like you to meet. Someone who went through the same process you're experiencing." Now, they walked together into the desert, about a mile from the observatory. In a small grove of trees, Jake saw a figure sitting alone by a small campfire. As they got closer, he realized it was a woman, probably in her 30s, with long hair and distant eyes. "Her name is River," Orion said quietly. "She was one of the first humans Luna worked with when she arrived on Earth." River looked up as they approached. Jake could immediately sense something different about her. She had the same heightened awareness he had developed, but there was also a deep sadness in her eyes. "You're the new one," River said to Jake. "The one who's been learning from Luna." "Yes," Jake replied. "How did you know?" "I can sense it. You have the same energy signature as others who have experienced consciousness sharing." Jake sat down beside her. "What happened to you?" River stared into the fire. "I became addicted. Just like you. I lost my job, my friends, my family. I couldn't function in normal human society anymore because everything felt so shallow compared to what I had experienced with Luna. But you learned to balance it, right?" River laughed bitterly. "Balance? Look at me, Jake. I live alone in the desert. I haven't had a meaningful conversation with another human in months. I can't connect with my own species anymore. But I also can't access the deep consciousness states I experienced with Luna." Jake felt a chill of recognition. "Why can't you access them?" "Because Luna left to continue her research elsewhere. Without her guidance, I can only achieve basic telepathic awareness. It's enough to make human relationships feel inadequate, but not enough to satisfy the craving for true consciousness sharing. So you're stuck between two worlds." "Exactly. To evolve for human connection, not evolved enough for true consciousness sharing." Jake looked at Orion and Luna. "Is this what will happen to me?" "It's what happens to many humans who go too far too fast," Orion said. "But it doesn't have to be your fate." "What do you mean?" Luna stepped forward. "Jake, my people have been studying this problem for a long time. We've learned that humans can develop telepathic abilities, but they need to do it gradually while maintaining their connections to their own species. How? By using the consciousness expansion techniques to enhance human relationships rather than replace them," Orion explained. "Instead of seeking the intensity of alien consciousness sharing, you can use what you've learned to create deeper connections with other humans." Jake felt confused. "But human connections feel so limited compared to what I've experienced with Luna." "That's because you're comparing them to something impossible," Luna said. "You're trying to make human relationships work like alien relationships. But humans have their own beautiful ways of connecting. I don't understand." Orion sat down beside Jake. "What if I told you that the telepathic abilities you've developed could help you understand other humans better? What if you could use your enhanced awareness to be more compassionate, more understanding, more present in your relationships?" "That doesn't sound as exciting as consciousness sharing." "No, it doesn't," Luna agreed. "But it might be more sustainable, and it might help you find meaning in your human life again." Jake thought about his friends, his family, his academic work. All of it had felt meaningless for weeks. But maybe that was because he had been trying to experience it through the lens of alien consciousness. "What would I have to do?" "First, you need to step back from the intense consciousness sharing sessions," Orion said, cold turkey. "As humans say, it will be difficult, but necessary." "How difficult?" Rivers spoke up. "Like losing a part of yourself." "But Jake, if you don't do it now, you'll end up like me. And trust me, this isn't a life you want." "Then what?" "Then you learn to apply your telepathic abilities in small, human-appropriate ways," Luna said. You use your enhanced awareness to really listen to your friends. You use your emotional sensitivity to be more supportive of the people you care about. You use your expanded consciousness to appreciate the beauty in simple human experiences. Jake felt overwhelmed. But what about you? Luna, what about our connection? Luna's eyes filled with tears. Jake, I care about you more than I should. But I've realized that the deepest form of love isn't holding onto someone. It's helping them become the best version of themselves. Are you? Leaving eventually, I'll have to return to my people. But before I go, I want to help you transition back to human life. I want to help you find a way to be happy as a human being. Jake looked around at the three of them, Luna, who had opened his mind to incredible possibilities, Orion, who offered wisdom and guidance, and River, who showed him what his future could become if he didn't change course. If I agree to this, Jake said slowly, will I lose the abilities I've developed? You'll lose the intense experiences. Orion said, but you'll keep a heightened awareness that can enrich your human relationships for the rest of your life. And if I don't agree, then you'll likely end up like River, Luna said sadly. Isolated from your own species, but unable to truly join mine. Jake thought about his roommate Alex, who had been genuinely worried about him. He thought about Professor Chen, who had believed in his potential. He thought about his parents, who loved him and didn't understand what was happening to him. I want to try, Jake said finally. I want to learn how to be human again. Luna smiled through her tears. I'm proud of you, Jake. That took courage. Over the following weeks, Jake worked with Luna and Orion to gradually reduce his dependence on consciousness sharing. It was one of the hardest things he had ever done. There were days when he felt like he was dying from the loss of that incredible connection. But slowly, he began to appreciate human experiences again. He started attending classes and found that his enhanced awareness helped him understand complex concepts more easily. He reconnected with Alex and discovered that really listening to his friends' thoughts and feelings created a different but meaningful form of connection. He called his parents and, for the first time in months, was truly present during their conversation. He could sense their love and concern in ways he had never noticed before. Jake realized that Luna had been right. He didn't need to replace human connection with alien consciousness sharing. He could use what he had learned to make human relationships deeper and more meaningful. When Luna finally left Earth to return to her people, Jake felt sad but not desperate. He had learned to find fulfillment in his human life while carrying the gift of expanded awareness that she had given him. Years later, Jake became a professor himself, known for his unusual ability to connect with students and his deep understanding of consciousness and human potential. He never forgot Luna or the incredible experiences they had shared. But he had found a way to honor that gift by using it to enrich his life as a human being. Sometimes, on clear desert nights, Jake would look up at the stars and send a telepathic message of gratitude to Luna, wherever she might be. And sometimes, he could swear he felt a gentle response, a warm feeling of love and pride that reminded him that some connections transcend time and space, even when they don't consume your entire existence.